I mean, speaking of family, I remember you made some comments about women. You're saying in Africa, the way women interact with men is completely different than the way men interact with women. And, you know, people got upset and so forth, but naturally.
But I mean, I kind of I expected that because it's two different traditions, you know? It's two different ways of how women are raised in Africa and how they're raised in America. In America, unfortunately, they're forced to be more independent because a lot of the men ain't stepping up. So you can't even blame the women here for that. In Africa, our only literally job is to make sure that the woman is comfortable. Like, she shouldn't have to work. And if she does, it's her choice. But it's our responsibility to make sure that we feed the family. You know, we provide.
Okay, so the two-parent working household is a rarity in Africa.
It's a rarity, yeah. The male is most likely the one doing it. And if it's the male, then it's the kids that's old enough to work. The males is old enough to work, providing with them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I remember in our last interview, you said a few things that got people in an uproar.
As they always do.
As we always do. Like we always do about this time.
Right.
You said that Africans no longer think about slavery, whereas Black Americans still blame the past.
Right.
And this set off a whole...
It did.
A whole uproar. You remember when it was happening.
Yeah, I remember.
You know, I think Shade Room picked it up and whatever else. Do you feel differently about that now, or do you feel exactly the same?
No, I feel the same. Nothing changed.
How'd you feel when you were getting the, the comments?
I didn't even notice.
Didn't even notice.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's my personal opinion. Everybody's not going to agree.
Yeah.
I just believe that here in America, we can fight harder. I just feel like we let too much slide. And more than anything, we allow ourselves as a people not to come together to change the situation. Because we can change it together. But I don't think we want it as bad as we fight for it. Because it's one thing to complain about it or to protest about it. It's another thing for us to come together and do something about it. Action is always going to be a better cure than sitting back and talking.
I mean, it's been interesting because with me doing so many interviews with different, people from different walks of life,
right?
American, Black Americans as well as immigrants like yourself,
right?
Not technically an immigrant, but kind of an immigrant,
right?
More or less.
Immigrant mindset,
to like a DJ Academics who's a Jamaican immigrant and so forth. There's always this interesting kind of backlash that happens with, what they call FBA, Foundational Black Americans.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where like some of the things that my guests will say really cause people to get really upset. I remember, for example, I interviewed NLE Choppa, right? I believe his mother is Jamaican. And he's a younger kid. He's like 19. So I was telling him about the foundations of hip hop, where, the guy who's responsible for inventing hip hop, Kool Herc, is actually Jamaican.
Right.
Right. So I talked about how when you look at what he did, he took some of the sensibilities of the Jamaican dancehall culture and brought them to America, but then instead of using reggae music, he used American music. And then that in turn became hip hop and so forth. And there was a whole thing like, oh, how dare Vlad try to change history? Like Jamaicans had nothing to do with hip hop. Nothing. The guy's Jamaican. He was born in Jamaica. Like, he's the inventor of hip hop. And he was born in Jamaica. You can't say Jamaicans had nothing to do with hip hop. Or, Fat Joe said that blacks and Puerto Ricans invented hip hop. Oh, no, you're trying to change. No, Puerto Ricans had nothing to do with it. And you talk to like the Grandmaster Caz of the world was like, there's Puerto Ricans in my rap group. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
we as a culture created it.
When you see these types of arguments that kind of, break out with you kind of, I guess, sometimes getting attacked in the process with you being African, how do you feel about those things?
Well, those things don't really bother me because I don't take those things personal, because everyone's personal feeling is going to generate a certain emotion. And I'm not going to feel the way you feel about a comment because I come from a different background. I see things differently. But I think the one thing that us as a people has never took the time to do was understand each other's opinions or get to know why I feel this way, right? So if I'm gun-ho saying to myself that what I believe is it and nothing else surpasses or is the truth outside of what I believe, that's not accurate. Ask Kanye West, he'll tell you right now. Right? But why not take the time to understand why Kanye believes that or why he's saying that? Like, bro, what's leading you to say that? Like, help me understand, right? So at the end of the day, we got to take the time to understand each other. But more so than anything, we got to come together. Because we can sit here and all say the white man this, white man that, or they suppress us, they holding us down, the system is built against us. Okay, let's build our own system. Nobody told a white man to abide by a black system. They chose to build their own system to abide by. And guess what we're doing? We're trying to adapt their system and expect their system to work for us. It's not going to work for us because it's not ours to work for. So we have to create our own system. And if we want our own environment to be policed a certain way, we create our own environment, hire our own police. Like, all this can happen. Like, if you want the NBA or the NFL, all these people to treat black athletes a certain way, okay, cool. Let's create our own NFL, NBA. We treat it's not like we don't have the capacity, the resources, the finances, or the influence to do it.
Right.
Let's just fucking do it. And stop complaining. Let's just do it.
And that's what you did with your label in Africa by signing the Wiz Kids.
Period.
Was Sarkodie one of your artists?
Huh?
Sarkodie? I don't know.
Sarkodie.
Sarkodie.
Yeah, he's out of Ghana. He was one of my artists.
I interviewed him.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was amazing, by the way.
Yeah, he's dope.
Sarkodie.
He's dope. So you went over and just basically picked off all the greatest talents over there. And they're all right there.
Everywhere in the world.
And they're all ready to sign and get a bigger platform and everything
now
else.
Now they all got bigger platforms and doing amazing. No complaints. They happy as hell.
Right.
They can feed their families and go back to Africa's kings.
Crazy. Crazy.